So what did you tell me? No, at least you can No, you didn't know it was going to be like this. She made it small. She's like,
Usman kada kanka.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to tonight's program. This particular symposium is being organized under the auspices of Zumuntah Association UK. So we are a registered charity organization, and our main aim is to bring people within the community, families and children together. And on today's occasion, we're seizing the opportunity to tap into the knowledge and professional experiences of some of the learned people within the community to share their thoughts and ideas with each and every one of us under the theme mental health and youth. So I do not want to go deep into that particular topic because we've got some expert knowledge to be shared here this afternoon. As I said, the aim is to bring each and everyone together as a member of the community. This is our widow's mite in terms of our contribution towards the social condition of the community. So I will call on Madam Ahmed. He is the moderator teacher of our madrasa. We run weekend madrasa at the center. So Madam Ahmed will lead us in an opening prayer. Thereafter, I will hand over to Hajjaswan to introduce our special guest and the rest of the program tonight. Madam Ahmed, the first down. Allahu Akbar. So we running live Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. If you're not comfortable going live or going on live TV, you let us know so that we try and edit those aspects out. So we should have sought your consent before transmission. But it's never too late. You can still prompt us if you are not all that interested.
Assalamu alaikum. This is a program for youth. As such, we have to invoke Allah's I want to use, there's a term I want to use in the simple language. We have to invoke Allah's words, Zumuntah, and the I used to let them come back. Allah's guidance, Allah's upliftment, because the youth, they are the future. So our aim is to make sure they are guided on the right path. And may Allah help us in this study. May Allah make it a success. This is the best attempt of this program. May Allah make it a very big success. May Allah give us the chance to do a lot of these programs in the future. Also the resource persons. May Allah give them the knowledge. They have the knowledge already. May Allah open up their mind. And may Allah give them the might to shower us all the knowledge they have, so that the youth benefit from that knowledge. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح والحاتم على سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره ومقداره العظيم. May Allah help us. Allah give us the best out of what we are doing. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام
At-Takbir. Thank you very much, Malam Amin. So before I hand over the microphone to Hajj Aswad, just to encourage each and every one of you, this is a symposium. At any point in time, if you see the need to ask a question or you have a contribution towards the topic being discussed, you can put up your hand, you get the microphone. We want to hear more of you speak today, please. Yeah? Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. I will start by saying Alhamdulillah. I want you to join me say Alhamdulillah.
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 Wow. Thank you all for coming, making time to come here and listen to us. All I can say is we're not here to talk to you, but we are here to talk to you. We are here to share ideas. We are here to learn from you. I know most of you here by face, and some of you, I haven't seen you for some time now, and I'm happy we are back together again. The flyers went out. We also, it was mental health awareness that we want to talk about. But more often when we talk about mental health, people start thinking about the illness. But at some point in time, we all go through either you, the youth, the kids, and us as parents. When we talk about mental health, it's not only the illness, it's our day-to-day lives. We all go through it. It's the stress, it's the anxiety, it's part of us. It's not when you see people out there dressed richly, that means they are going through mental. We all go through it. Some of you don't know, but you are even experiencing mental health that you don't even know. Especially when you, let's say you got examination coming, you'll be stressed, you have this anxiety. It's all part of it. People are going through a lot of things at home, and it's because black community, we sweep it under the carpet, we don't talk about it. I thought, well, let's all come together. Let's share our ideas, especially those of you in secondary schools. You go through a lot of things that you don't talk about it. You are scared maybe opening up to parents at home. But we've got, if you look here, I know, oh, I should have introduced them first. Sorry. I've got my two sisters here. Each time we're having this event, I'll try as much as I can to invite them to come and join us. Alaji Brian here is our chairman, and he will be here always. We want to use him, myself, as a mentor that you can talk to us. You sometimes go through lots of things at home with your parents, even school, and you don't want to talk about it. That is when you are being groomed by people at school, and because sometimes we don't open up to you as parents. Most of us are very, very, very lazy, and we almost like married to our work. So you deal with yourselves without having any help. We want to change it. All of you here, we are all one big family. All of you here, we are all one big family. We are here to support you. We are here to listen to you. We want to discuss, we want you to discuss everything with us. If you have any problems, if you think there's anything at all that is going on in your lives, this is where it begins. Please, we want to start it here and we want your support. We want you to support us. Don't let us end it here. We'll start it from today and we want to come here so a lot of times to discuss this. Please, I won't take much of your time. As Alhaji Ibrahim mentioned it said earlier, if you have anything to say, don't be shy. It's all your aunties, we are all one big family. Please share with us. Some of you are at the university at the moment, some just completed their secondary school, some in secondary school, and we've got this primary school with us. If you have any experience, please don't hesitate to share it with us. And I will hand over to my very good sister here. She is a secondary school teacher. She has experience in teaching, and there are some things that she might know. We parents we don't know because she's been in the organization for a long time. So there are things that she might know that we don't know. And she will just share any idea at all with you guys. And my lovely friend here as well, she will also want to speak with you. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask us. And if we can, would speak to you. I've got a friend who is coming. She's also a mental health nurse. She works in the prison and she works with youth. And I told her, she says she's shy, but I know she would have like one or two things to share with you. It's so real. If you are going through anything at all, please discuss it. It's very important. It's easy for you to lose it. It's easy for you to just snap it, but bringing it back is so difficult. When we're talking about our mental health or mental illness, a lot of people start thinking, okay, it might be drugs or whatever, stress, depression, grief, a lot of things triggers it, a lot. So please, I'm happy you've sent out in your numbers. I hope this becomes successful. Alaji Brian, I don't think I've said much.
Yeah, can I just say something before we continue? Yes. Just a quick one. We need to set our objectives straight before we get onto the real business. So I want each and every one of you here, especially the kids, just to have it at the back of your mind at the end of the session today. Three questions to answer. In your stressful situation, when you are down in mood, unhappy, upset about anything, think of one person you will speak to in your school first. Secondly, think of one person within your family, be it your parents or the wider family network. One person you can feel confident enough to confide in when you are stressed, upset, worried, concerned about anything in your life. And then the third question is you think about the wider community. Who in the community, be it at the madrasa, be it at the mosque, any social club you happen to attend. Just try to identify one particular individual in these three different settings that you feel comfortable to share or to confide in. So at the end of the session, we'll come around with the mic so that you all comment. Unless maybe there are some who are eager to comment now before we get the resource persons in. Who wants to go first? All right, you have the mic. It's a young man in the middle there.
Who? Who?
So who will you speak to in school when you are not happy?
Miss.
Miss. Is that your class teacher? Have you got a name attached to that?
Yeah.
Miss?
Miss No.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. And then, all right, any other contribution? I think, okay, there's another young man next to him. Yeah, who will you speak to in school?
I keep some time to myself when I'm sad.
You keep it to yourself.
And then I talk to one of the adults.
Okay. Is it adults in school or at home?
School.
In school. Okay. What about at home?
My mom.
Your mother, that's right. So have you got any other adult within your family network or within the community that you can speak to?
My grandparents and my uncles and aunts.
Oh, that's brilliant. Well done. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. But I think when you get the mic, Seki, let me introduce himself. We didn't get the names, isn't it? What's your name, please?
Farid.
Farid. Thank you very much, Farid. So, the floor.
Ibrahim.
Ibrahim. Thank you. Thank you very much. So, I think.
There's a reason why those two young children were able to talk quite confidently about who they would go to. So in primary school, there's a big emphasis, and across primary school and into secondary school, there's a big emphasis on safeguarding and mental health. We have Mental Health Week, and all across the whole of the academic year, there's a big focus on children being able to say who their safe adult would be at school and at home. And as class teachers, we would be concerned if a child could not name a safe adult. We expect that children can say who their safe adult would be at home and at school. And we do find that a lot of children are able to say, yes, I would go to this person at home, I'd go to this person at school. I would be mindful though, because I think it depends on the problem the problem is going to dictate who a child or even an adult would go to. Minor things, you might say, oh, I might go to this person for that problem. It might be a major problem. It gets a bit tricky. It could become tricky about who you would go to. So I think it depends on the problem and who you would go to, who you would choose as your safe adult. Yeah.
Thank you.
I actually teach in a college environment now. I used to do secondary. I no longer do secondary. I teach in a college environment. I teach English. And there is a big emphasis on safeguarding and students knowing what safeguarding means and who to talk to when they have problems and so on. So there is a massive emphasis on mental health. I think across the board in most jobs and professions now, because there is a recognition that mental health is an issue. And sometimes when people talk about mental health, they think it means like somebody who's walking down the street talking to themselves. Not necessarily. It could be you might be really worried about something and you're not sleeping for days. That's a mental health issue. Doesn't necessarily mean you're on drugs. It might just be something that's really bothering you and you don't actually know how to solve the problem. And when you don't know how to solve the problem, there's loads of different places to get support. If you don't feel like there's anybody around you that you can talk to, there's loads of different charities that you can talk to online as well. If you don't feel safe about talking to, family or friends or whatever. I actually think sometimes young people talk to their friends and that's not always the right thing to do because your friends don't have the emotional maturity to support you. They're at the same level as you. So that's not always a good idea. And sometimes they could actually give you the wrong information and the wrong advice. But yeah, I think it's important to make sure you know someone and you can access some kind of support. Because sometimes everybody's got their triggers and everybody's got their limitations that can push you over the edge. So it's really important that you recognize when you've reached a breaking point and you need help. And there's no shame in that because we all have those days, we all have those times, we all struggle. And I think there's always a big stigma around mental health. And there doesn't need to be because every single person has got their own mental health problems. And like I said, it doesn't mean that you're necessarily walking down the street talking to yourself or taking drugs and alcohol or something like that. There's different types of mental health and we've all got our own different issues that impact on us. So it's really, really, really important to try and reach out to get some sort of help. So yeah, so that's all I've got to say.
All right, thank you very much for that detailed contribution in terms of what we mean by mental health. I know that's the big elephant in the room. We're talking about mental health. So we need to break it further down. Maybe, I don't know, should I come to any one of you, any thoughts, any perception, what are your views with regards to mental health? If we say this is a mental health issue, any contribution from the floor? There's never a wrong answer. Yeah, so I think just rephrasing the question, what do you understand by mental health? Any example, any experience you think that you want to share with everyone? Don't be shy, just feel free, say anything. We just want to hear your voice. There's never a wrong answer. Or should I handpick someone then? Should I? In most situations, we talk about mental health.
We've nominated him.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
What do you understand by the
Yeah,
word?
just mention your name and speak up. Yeah, that's right. Thank you.
Okay. So my name is Rehan, and I think mental health is something that you usually uh, that that usually like you're usually alone, like you're lonely while you're going through it. So especially if you don't have a good open up towards anyone, because especially at this age, people might see that it's kind of like a state of weakness. People
You,
don't
you
want
want
to
to
share
speak up
that.
a bit? We can't hear you. You're on YouTube.
Yeah, he said something. I want. Yeah, what we said. Repeat that again, please.
I said that it's a state of weakness, and people might want to share it. So then it goes untreated, and then it becomes worse and worse.
That's right. Yeah, that's really good. Have you all heard what he said? The last bit.
So how would you deal with it? How would you deal with, because mental health could be, I'm feeling stressed because I've got an exam coming up in school. That's mental health.
Yeah.
I'm feeling stressed because I didn't do so well with this test. I'm feeling stressed because, this particular family member is going to come round. I'm feeling stressed because I have to go to school and do this lesson, and I find it really difficult because I don't understand what the teacher's saying. I'm feeling stressed because there's a bully in my school, or I'm feeling stressed because there's a person that doesn't like me. That's all mental health stuff. How would you deal with the one you're talking about? You said it makes you feel isolated, and that's a really good thing.
And you mentioned that state of
In
weakness.
a state of weakness. So how would you deal with it?
Well, in terms of like school and like tests, see, me and my twin brother we done tests together, so like we would help each other. So I'm pretty sure he would learn if I'm feeling upset, and one test doesn't define you, so you could always improve on the test. Yeah, so,
But that's you and your twin brother. Yeah.
yeah.
So let's create the scenario. It's only you. You don't have anyone to share, and you feel like it's a sign of weakness. That word weakness that you use, that's a lot of boys, especially.
Yeah.
It's a lot of you feel like if I share it, it's a sign. I was saying to my son yesterday, he said they're going to swim with his friends, and I said, there's this level that you've not got to. And this guy that you're going to swim with, maybe he can swim more than you. When you get there and he says to you, oh, let's go here, he might say, oh, yeah, why not? But he can't go there. But because if he shows his weakness or shows that he can't do it, they'll laugh at him. He will throw himself in the water, and
So
that's
in danger.
in danger. So when you especially you boys, it's that thing that you feel like it's that weakness word that you use. That is the problem. So how are you going to deal with that if you don't have a twin brother to share that with?
Uh, you just have to tell someone you trust.
Like
Your parents, I'm sure that there's websites for like specialists that you can message or like call.
How do you know the website's trustworthy?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Because there's a lot of dodgy websites out there that misinform children.
Yeah, you groom them.
They groom children. So
Thank you very, very,
Thank you
very
very
much.
much.
Yeah.
I think you made a very key point. The sign of weakness, because that takes a whole lot of people. There is a challenge for people to come out clearly to indicate that they're really suffering from A or B. They try to boil everything just to keep it within themselves. They feel too strong enough to cope with it, but at the end of the day, that will end up causing more harm than good to your emotional well-being. I don't know whether any one of you watched the TV yesterday and probably today about Dele Ali, the England footballer Dele Ali. I think he's just 24, 25 years old. What he went through at the age of 6, at the age of 8, and then he became an international England footballer, played in the last World Cup. Around the age of 18, 19, he was very popular with so much ambitions to fulfill, but his past experience came back to haunt him, and that put him in a very bad situation and then affected his mental health. He ended up in Turkey. Even in Turkey, that affected him. He couldn't perform. He was sidelined, but upon advice, he ended up in a rehab. After 6 weeks, he was able to come out publicly to share his lived experience. So I think this is the kind of boldness you need to develop. You need to be bold enough, come out, because the more you speak about these issues, the more help you get, the more you get out of your chest, the more you get the self belief that it's not all over. I can pick myself up, I can redo it because it's never too late to redo things. Failure is not the end of life. So most of the time you get hit by a situation, it doesn't mean you throw in the towel and just give up in life. No, there's always room to pick yourself up and then get yourself moving. So as we emphasize the keyword you use, weakness, we all human. We have that pride, that sense of ego in all of us. No matter your age, you still have that because you operate within your peers. So you want to show some relevance and dominance. So when you are hit by any of these things, then of course you feel the need to hide all of this and then to keep pushing. Mental health affects the way we think. It affects our emotional well-being. It affects how we behave. You mentioned isolation. Isolation is one of the key features of mental health. The more you get isolated, the more you live within your own bubble, and that becomes much more dangerous. And then you alluded to the internet, as our resource person said. Internet, there are the good aspects and the other dangerous aspect of it. You never know who is behind the screen inputting all that information. So it's very risky. And there's a whole lot going on the internet in terms of grooming young people into other areas that we don't ever want any one of you to fall victims to. Apart from county lines, I don't know whether you've heard of that, gangs activities. There are so many technologies out there on the street. So they prey on vulnerable young people because if your mental health is deteriorating, you get low in self-esteem, you get isolated, and then you'll be looking for an outlet, and they will come at you as the best people to support you through this in your life. And by so doing, they groom you into their criminal underworld. And as soon as you step a foot into that, there's no way back because you either go down through that route or they destroy your life. If I say there's no way back, it's either you stay there or you end up being locked up, and that will become the cycle of your life. But at this younger age, you still have a lot of ambitions. We all look up to you, to the future of the community, and in diverse ways, because there are lots of talents in all of you. We may be talking about future engineers, future lawyers, future pilots, future surgeons, future soldiers, lawyers. So I mentioned lawyers. So any other field, prime ministers, yeah, it's possible. It's possible. It's doable. So we build all these ambitions. At any point in time, anyone trying to prey on your weaknesses, as you alluded to, because getting isolated, being vulnerable in terms of your mental health or mood swing, that makes you more vulnerable. That is the time they tap into that. So just be very conscious of that. At any point in time, if you are down, emotionally disturbed, your parents, school, in the community, just try to pick that safe individual. It's very key. It's very key, irrespective of the relationship between you and that person. Because one aspect maybe I'll touch on before I hand over the mic is about confidentiality. Sometimes you feel when you share something with me, without necessarily sharing with your parents, I will divulge that information to your parents, and that may expose you. Sometimes it's good to have that level of trust with that safe adult. Get the reassurance that this particular thing I am sharing with you, it doesn't need to go back to my parents. So it has to stay between the two of you. I think it is one thing that is also being held within counseling, because whatever you discuss with your counselor remains private. It doesn't need to be shared with any third party without your express consent. Of course, when it comes to child protection issues, sometimes they override those kind of privacy details. But nevertheless, that should not stop you from confiding in someone you trust within the family, in the school, and with the community. We are all here to help. There are different expertise, different life experiences available to all of you. Of course, we also have a lot to learn from you. The language on the streets there, I may not understand all of that. There are street jargons, terminologies that I have to always Google to check to help myself out. But of course, you are the masters of that. You hear that every day, you use that every day. So you need to share that with us, and then we also share our little knowledge with all of you. So, any questions so far up to this point? Because we want to hear more of you speak. We want to hear you speak.
If you don't, we'll choose.
Zulis, do you want to speak?
Huh?
Do you want to speak?
No, I'm good.
You're good. All right, I like that. I'm trying to recall. Okay, there's a hand at the back. Hajia.
What are some of the signs that one would know like something is wrong with me mentally? How can one know is affected mentally, something is wrong with him? Or how can you, a mother?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. A mother picked up from a child if the child is suffering from any mental health issue.
Yeah.
Are you
How can
looking?
you know? Yeah.
Okay. I think I will share my little knowledge on that before I come to that. I think mood swing is one thing. What we mean by mood swing is child being emotionally low within the split second. You see child being hyper, or uh, a sudden strange behavior demonstrated by that child. Isolation is one of them. Secrecy, privacy, to should I say, keeping him or herself alone in his or her bedroom much of the time, because it's your child. You know the child much better than any other individual. So as soon as you start picking all these issues, that means there's something happening or about to happen. So that calls for a more serious conversation. If not between you and the child, you can still get a neutral person to break the ice, to get the conversation going on. I think that's just what I've got, unless there's further to add to that.
Um, I guess you can also have sleeping too much. If they're sleeping too much, that's part of the isolation. They just want to lock everything out. It can be not eating, it can be eating too much, it can be the extremes. Um, I think, those are like the main ones you covered.
Yeah, yeah. And then also some children also, especially those on medication, some try to overdose. Others do try to use painkillers to unnecessarily block some of these feelings. Sometimes that's why at homes, children below the age of 12, 16, you keep medications far, far beyond their reaches. Sometimes they try to self-medicate just to hide some of this. There is self-harming also sometimes when the child is emotionally disturbed, mental health deteriorating, they self-harm. Some come with different features. Others bite, others kick, others headbutt the wall. Different behavior they will demonstrate. But at the end of the day, a lot needs to come from you, the parent. You know your child. If something isn't going right, if something is about to go wrong, so you need to pick up the pieces. I know there are teachers here, and they're from our field, mental health. Uh, there is a big stress or a big stress in terms of its availability to young people, in terms of the waiting list, how comes to get involved to help all of them. But a lot needs to come from the parents. Sometimes you go for assessment, they tell you the child is perfectly okay. It's environmental factors within the home or environmental factors within the child's immediate environment. It could be the wider community or an exposure to one particular life-changing incident. So that needs to be well taken care of. Unless that is all on earth properly, there will always be a problem. And mental health, we've got the scale. So it's a continuum. It starts little, 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 little. If it's not curtailed, then it turns out to be something beyond control. So which is why immediately there are these signs, you need to pick that up, start the conversation. If it's not an issue that you put a screw in a bolt and then tighten it and then it's all resolved. It's a process. So it needs to be followed through in order to unlearn, undo, and then reverse the process. So I think there is a lot of research out there to think of mental health. If I go to my counselor or if I go to camps, it's going to be sorted out within one appointment or two appointments. It's never that way. It needs to go through a process. It's a talking therapy. So you need to give out as much as you can in terms of your lived experiences in order to go through them. Sometimes medications are prescribed to suppress that feeling within you. But I know with the mental health agencies, children under the age of 5, they don't really want to medicate. But you see people pushing. We need medication, I can't sleep, I've been restless, I need ABC. Sometimes you don't have to self-prescribe. You need to go through the process. So they are very reluctant to prescribe. But a lot has to come from the parenting and then the environmental factors within the child's home. If the home is calm and the young person has identified the safe adult to speak to, the better. We do that the earlier, the better. That will help us curtail some of these issues. I think I'm talking too much. We need contribution from the floor, please. Okay, hi, dear one.
So I was just going to say quickly, the other thing as well, as a parent, I'm a parent myself, 2 children. As parents, we've got to be tuned into our kids. And what I mean by that is you've got to always be alert with regards to your kids. Are they happy? Are they sad? You've got to be constantly talking to your kids. Constantly. How was school? How was your friends? What happened? My daughter tells me everything, like what game she played with her friends, if she stopped talking to a particular friend, why she stopped talking to the friend. Just even though it sounds really silly and you might think, oh, I haven't got time for this nonsense. All those things are all part of the nurturing of your child, and that is how you get to really be in tune with your child and know if something is off or not. So it's really, really important that as parents you're tuned in. Try and just talk to your kids about everything. Don't, if they come to you with things like, oh, someone's got a crush on me or I've got a crush on them, don't be alarmed, don't be disgusted, don't make it into a big thing, don't be, just we've got to manage our emotions in front of our kids because then they know how to come to us and communicate with us. But if you're always like, if they tell you something like that, they're 8 years old and they say, oh, mummy, so and so's got a crush on me, you're like, don't you dare, you can't start lecturing about things like that. You've got to just talk and pretend and talk through it and maybe say, you're young and just conversate. If you start being alarmist about it, then they're not going to talk to you and then it's going to escalate and they're going to shut the door on sharing things like that with you, which for me, those are the most important things that you need to hear about for the safety of your children. Because if you don't build that relationship, they could go out there and some random paedophile could talk to them and you wouldn't even know because you've acted so, you've overreacted about something they've told you, for them it's like, okay, I know I'm not going to tell my mum this because I'm going to be in trouble. So you've got to keep the door open, even if it's ridiculous or if it sounds inappropriate. You've just got to talk to your kids and talk them through, your expectations and what's right and why is it right or why is it wrong, so they can make the right choices when you're not there. So yeah, so that's all I've got to say on that. So.
All right, thank you very much for that contribution. Hadia wants to contribute from the back.
Well, I wanted to say, like, advice to the
You
parents,
want to give
and
the
you've mentioned some of it already. What I want to say is we have to be close to our kids to know that they usually get like situations like during exams period, they get very stressed about it. So it's good for us to say, talk to them, know how exams is going, know how they prepare during that period. The more time we spend with them, that's how we get to know when they are going through mental health issue. We have a taboo, like in the Black community, talking about mental health is a taboo. And when they come talking to us, we shut them down because we are always busy, always working. But it's good to sit down with them, get to know how was school, what has been going on, what's in their life, as you were saying. And if there's a problem, we should listen. Because as African parents, we are quick to give solutions or answers or shut them down. Listening is very important. Even as you are listening, the person herself or himself will bring the solution. And you talk about it. It's not just one day sitting about it and talking about it, but as the time goes on, you keep on talking about it until you see that it's gone. But one thing too that we have to know, there's community out there and their what is it, health, that if the situation is above us, there are help out there that we can get assistance for the kids. I think that's what I have to say.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Any further comment? I think that was to the parents. So that was said very loud and clear. Yeah, speak up. She wants to speak. Speak. Want to hear your voice? Munir, you want to speak? Yeah?
Khadija, you want to speak?
Yes. No, no.
Yeah, as I said at the from the onset, this is a symposium for you. We want you to lead the program, not us sitting here just talking and talking and talking. We want to hear your voice. We want. Yeah, so we really want to hear your voice. Even for example, if you have a comment, even if it doesn't relate to mental health, any experience you want to share, good experience, any story you want to share with us. Hello. Yeah, any story any one of you wants to share. I know most of you here, you have your areas of interest. Some are interested in football, some FIFA online, 14 different games online, motorsports, Formula One, a whole lot of other activities. Any one of you wants to pick any of this to share with us? I know football, we've got lots of footballers in here who would like to tell us more about football, about their ambitions to become pro in future, or any experience, any challenges you're going through. I know some of you here are transitioning from primary school to secondary school September. There are challenges. Transition challenges in terms of moving from a primary school into a much more bigger school environment where you'll be meeting bigger boys, bigger girls. There are challenges, of course, we're going to face. Some of you may struggle to fit into that particular setting. And others too might transition without any issue because some are resilient, some are less resilient. But as I repeatedly said, we are here to help. You've got the ears within the community, whatever the challenge, whatever the situation, please try to share. You share and then keep talking about it. Don't keep it to yourself. Do not keep any emotional, any bad feeling, bad experience to yourself. Whatever is thrown at you, especially on social media. Social media can keep you away from your books, your family, any other interest for hours and hours and hours. At the end of the day, only God knows what you'll be listening to or watching or what you're going through. But a lot of families do have internet safety mechanisms on their internet where they put parental control to turn off the internet at a certain time in their house. But I know a lot of parents, uh, they get dribble. Should I use the word dribble? Or they put a fast one on the parents in terms of how you use different mechanisms to still access the net. Even though the mobile telephone is confiscated, you still have different means of accessing the internet, even in your bedrooms, on the blind side of your parents. But at the end of the day, whatever you're going through, they never keep it to yourself. Keep sharing. Keep talking about it. Whatever makes you more anxious, less certain about it, makes you more confused, unsure about what is happening, do share. The more you share, the more you get solutions or you get those issues addressed. Sometimes you may think your parents are not well educated, given our background from Africa. Parents not well educated, maybe they don't speak the Queen language or the King's language as you do in this country, but they have good experiences they could share. The street knowledge, their experience in life, how they migrated from Africa, found themselves in this country, going through all of this. So they are experiences that will benefit all of you. Never underrate that particular interaction. When you are down, there's always someone to lift you up. Don't experience that or suffer that alone. There's always room for improvement.
Do you want to share that?
Yes, that's good. Thank you very much. Your name first, please.
My name is Rayan. So recently I finished my GCSEs and I was looking forward to it for a long time and I thought it would feel good. But after about 3 days at home, there was really nothing to do. So I was just there and I wanted to earn some money. So I applied for multiple jobs. But I ended up facing a lot of rejection. And after facing rejection, I was deep in life. And, so I was wondering if I wasn't like good enough as a person. And even though I kept on applying for different jobs, I still kept on getting rejected. So like I started thinking to myself that perhaps I wasn't good enough and I wasn't feeling like the best. But my older brother, I spoke to him about how I was feeling and he reassured me that it was probably like not my fault. It's just I didn't really have experience, and that's what I really needed to get a job. So uh, yeah.
So how did you feel after that conversation with your elder brother?
Well, I started feeling a lot better about myself. So I didn't really like, feel like I wasn't good enough anymore. So finding someone to speak to is very useful, very important, and it'll help you out. So I suggest it. Yeah.
Right, that's good. Thank you very much.
Okay. Guess what? She has something to tell you.
Right, so where I work, we recruit young people to do some volunteering with us. Volunteering is a really, really good way to find a job. If you want to get experience in a particular field that you've never worked in, even as adults, if you want to get an experience in a particular field you've never worked in, whether it's teaching, health, doesn't matter what it is, almost anything, you get a volunteering job in that industry, and then you've got something on your CV. So I was going to offer you a volunteering opportunity in my place. Work. So she's going to pass you my details, and I'm going to take you through the process. And just do my colleague, he's the head of the sixth form, and he'll support you. You're going to do admin, all kinds of things. You can put that on your CV, and they can even help you find a job. We've just recruited 2 16-year-olds to do volunteering. So we'll just add you to that list.
Any more experiences?
So you see, you share a good experience, you land a job, isn't it? So
Anything.
I don't know, to the adults, if there's anyone who wants to contribute, we still welcome any contribution. Okay, you want to speak? Try, say something. Yeah, any further contributions?
Salaam alaikum. Salaam alaikum.
Just to the lady at the back who talked about signs and stuff, I think parents need to make sure they are touching base with the schools. I know it's probably a lot easier in primary school because you get to, especially if your child is in Key Stage 1 or early years, you get to have that face-to-face with your teacher. But it's very important to know how tracking how your child is doing at school, because often the teachers, the adults can spot changes in behaviour in your child. And really, to be honest with you, it's their duty to share that with you. I don't know about secondary. I don't know how good they are at that. I know in primary level, they are much better because we have that face-to-face contact. But you need to be tracking your child's progress and also how they're doing at school. Also, I would say truanting can also be a sign as well. Children not wanting to go to school.
Yeah, I was going to say, in my daughter's school, a lot of the parents don't engage with the school at all. Like, they'll have a parent event, like they've got a thing called a parents' forum, where parents will come and discuss any issues they have with the school and any concerns. And a lot of the parents just, like they're like us, and they're always like, oh, I'm too busy, even though some of them don't have a job. I think a lot of it is down to they don't feel confident in going to these things. And I think you have to go, because if you go, you have a voice, you have a say, you know what's happening in the school, you know what they're teaching your child. Because there might be stuff that you might not approve of, but you don't know because you don't want to be involved, because you think there's a separation. Your child goes to school and that's it. It's like some parents think it's childcare. You've got to be more involved, because as far as I'm concerned, as a parent, it is your responsibility. Your child is your responsibility. It's not the teacher's responsibility. It's yours. And if your child is successful, you take the glory, not the teacher's. If your child's a failure, that's up to you as well. It's not anybody's fault. So you've got to actively be involved and build relationships with staff and school so they can tell you the truth about your child. Because sometimes, I remember when I used to work in secondary school, sometimes we couldn't get hold of parents because they were working all the time. And then by the time you get hold of them, it's too late. The child's getting expelled now. They've done so many things. They've not come in, or they've come in and their clothes are dirty, and they're falling asleep, and all kinds of things because parents are working all the time. And I understand you have to work, but you've also got to take time for your child. The job and the money is not everything.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the parents that do appear, that are in the teachers' faces, they've often got nothing to worry about because their children are high flyers. because they make sure from day one they are in that teacher's face. And you have to be in that teacher's face, because the teacher will remember you. Okay, I remember when that parent came up to me and they questioned me about this. It puts you in their mind, it puts your child in their mind. And that's important.
Exactly. And the thing as well is, it doesn't matter whether your child's in primary or secondary. You have to build that relationship. It doesn't matter whether your English is good enough, not, it's irrelevant. All of that stuff is irrelevant. What teachers remember is, gosh, that parent doesn't take any nonsense. That parent wants to know about their child. I need to be on my toes. I need to make sure, and everybody will know, God, that parent is, and nobody cares or remembers your English. They just know that you're not messing about when it comes to your child. But if you're not there because, oh, I'm busy, I'm working, I'm this, I'm that, it's just ridiculous, So you've got to be actively involved. And you don't have to know everything about the English curriculum. You just need to know, what's your child learning? Are they up to standard? Are they underachieving? What do you need to do as a parent?
Have you noticed this? Have you noticed that? Because often children will have, not just children, I guess, but will have a different face at school than they will have at home. How they'll behave at school will be different to how they'll behave at home. And just you having that dialogue with the teacher, you can see another aspect of the child. Just like we as teachers, we listen to you as a parent, you say, oh, your child's like this at home. We then get to build a better picture of your child.
I think he has something to say. Yeah.
That's good. Thank you. Thank you.
So I'm Rayhan again, and I want to talk about how African parents, they always expect the greatest grade, for example, from GCSE, which is a 9. And for certain students, like a lower achieving student, for as African parents, they might not be able to get a 9, but because of the force, how the parents force the child to get a 9. Of course, they're not going to be able to get it, so they could make it feel like they have pressure, and then that could make them do worse, and it could make them feel disturbed that they didn't match their parents' expectations, because parents are always especially African parents, they're always expecting the greatest grade, and it's unlikely for it to happen.
Yeah, that's a brilliant observation. Well done.
Okay, well, a bit of a reality check, because what a lot of parents don't understand is the world that you're sending your children into is way different to the world that you've entered. Yeah, we're talking about AI coming in. The emphasis on academics is not, it's important, but it is not the be all and end all. They're talking about in terms of AI, it will be able to do a surgeon's job. Yeah? There are jobs right now that are no longer going to exist in the next 5 to 10 years. So if your emphasis on academics, just academics only, you're setting up failure for your child. And I'm being honest. This is a talk that goes on even within education. We keep the system because we've got nothing better. We have to keep the system that we've got until we come up with something better. But the point is, academics, yes, it is important, but it is not the be all and end all.
No, she's absolutely right. I think that a lot of African parents, because I'm African myself, a lot of parents, probably not just African, maybe every parent, a lot of parents, irrespective, need to do extracurricular activities with their kids.
What do you call it? Cultural capital.
Cultural capital. There's a word called cultural capital. Remember that word, cultural capital. And it simply means doing things like going to the museums with your child. There's lots of museums, hundreds of museums in London that are free. I can't even, the Science Museum's free, Natural History Museum's free, And now what's happening as well, loads of different places like Kew Gardens, Hampton Court Palace, Tower of London, all these cultural places, British cultural places, they will charge you like £1 to get in if you're on benefits or if you're from an underprivileged area, whatever. So you go online, call them up, tell them your situation, see what discounts you can get. But all those things will give you cultural capital, because the reality of the situation is you're living in England now, you're raising your kids in England. You cannot be in isolation. You've got to take them to these different things, because when you're taking them to these different things, they're learning different things, they're learning vocabulary that they can then input into whatever they're doing in school. And not just that, it builds up their confidence and self-esteem, because then they know the society. They know more than you, because they know what the culture is. They know when they go into the workplace or they're setting up a business or whatever it is, they know how to talk because they're familiar with certain landmarks in England. But if you don't do these things with them, they have no cultural capital. Studying, just studying, reading their books. You know, I don't know if you've heard that saying, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. That means, in my translation, means they have no cultural capital. Yeah, if you're learning something in class, they've got nothing else to pull from, no other experiences to relate to. They can't. It makes it more difficult for them to have decent levels of literacy and just lots of different things. You know, in terms of their learning, it all feeds into academia. So you've got to give them cultural capital because it gives them confidence. And you know what? The people who are the most successful is not because of their academic brilliance. It's got nothing to do with it. It's about their confidence, their networking skills as well. To me, those are two really important factors. And not just networking in your community, being able to talk to people from different communities and nationalities confidently. That's what's going to get you somewhere, not just because you got 10 A's. Nobody cares about that. I've seen so many, and that doesn't mean to say don't work hard in school. But you've got to build up your networks. You've got to be able to talk confidently, communicate confidently. That's really important. Yeah, it starts at home. But then you've also got to take your kids to different activities. And you've got to find out, what does your child enjoy doing? Do they like football? Not just football. Do they like to play an instrument?
We've just come from an event and we watched your daughter perform, but we saw another child. He was drumming, and I'm telling you, he was phenomenal. And just yesterday, we were having a discussion about how we don't feel in this country they strive for excellence. I'm telling you, what I saw today with that boy drumming, that was excellence. That was excellence. So it's, like I said, we're not saying academics is not important, but please, you've got to branch out. We've got to branch out, otherwise we're going to be left behind as a community, because everyone else will catch up. They'll see what game is being played right now. And like I said, and I will emphasize this, there are jobs that exist today that are not going to exist in the future. Yeah.
So just coming back to your point about the stressful dilemma of an African parent or a migrant parent, setting higher expectations academically for their kids within the home environment. I say it's a dilemma in the sense that every parent would like his or her child to be a high achiever academically, but there's a need to find the thin balance in terms of how much you can push the child against the child's natural talent. I think we have our saying that no one is born, excuse my way, stupid, or so no one is born stupid. It depends on how much you commit yourself to learning, how much efforts you make. Consistency, learning will help you achieve the desired goals. So in terms of the expectations being set, are they realistic, or they just expectations being picked on Google or just picked from social network to say, okay, because my friend's child has scored grade A, or whatever grade it is, you must also come out with set grades without considering the environmental factors of your own child. Because a child's brain is modeled by his or her interactions with the environment. At birth, the brain is said to be very fresh without anything attached to it. But the environmental factors, that is your family, education, cultural events, whatever the child comes into contact with, helps shapes the child's thinking and brain work. So if a parent is setting those targets for the child, you have to look at the environmental factors. Look widely. Don't just set the targets without putting in place the necessary supporting mechanisms to help that child achieve that. There are some children, there are some parents, they will provide the resources, go off the radar, and expect better outcomes. But in between, there's a missing gap. There's a link in there that the parent has not been able to join. So until you stay focused, stay actively involved in the child's studies, social activities, peer group activities, after school clubs, extra tuition you offer to the child. That will all build up to the end result. But you don't start a race without running through the middle and then expect to achieve at the end of it. So coming back to what my colleagues just commented on, active involvement of the parent, be you literate or an illiterate, you still have an important role to play in achieving that. You set the target, you help the child run the race. If you set the target and sit back, the race will not be run. At the end of the day, it will be disappointment. And your pressure on that child will affect the child's self-confidence, emotional well-being, and overall mental health issues still come back to play. Who is the cause of it? Because you set up the targets, you didn't help do the run. You expect the child to pick him or herself up, do the run, and bring back and bring home the gold medal. That is never going to happen. So whatever goals you are setting up, move along with the child and provide the support and the needed resources. If we wind up, we go back to the question, the three questions to see who already
Each individual with
it.
it. Okay.
Just
So I think the twins have said enough.
Yeah.
So we'll start from you.
Yeah. Finally, she didn't want to speak. So for those of you who just joined us, from the onset, we set ourselves to achieve three targets. First question is for each and everyone to be able to identify a safe adult within the family home he or she will speak to if he or she feels emotionally down, mood is very down, you feel isolated, you feel worried or concerned about a particular incident or an experience. You identify another safe adult within the school environment who you can confide into when you face such a situation. And also you look at the wider
We were saying that the problem is sometimes children don't feel safe from any adult. We don't know what's going on. Some adults might be smiling, friendly with you, but you don't actually know what they can do to you. So maybe just a safe adult anyway, whether it's college, school, not necessarily at home.
Okay. All right. So safe adult, home, school, wherever. Just try to identify. Yeah, that's right. Thank you for that.
So like at home,
Your name, please.
oh, my name is Hazel. So like at home, I would like speak to my brother or like my mom. At school, usually I speak to like my tutoring teacher because like I have more contact with her, and usually I talk to her like every day about like issues I have around at school. And like within the community, I'll be like generally like my uncles and aunties, and then like all the cousins as well.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for that. Yeah, if I say, oh, we need more contributions, please. More contributions.
Allow you to want to speak. Yeah?
Like, say something.
Who would you speak to? If there's anything, who would you speak to?
Speak to my dad.
You speak to your
That's
dad.
good. What is
That's
that?
good.
So if identify your
Yeah.
dad.
So let's go. That's his sister. All right. Shida, do you want to say something?
At home, my father speaks to my sister. She lives in two blocks. And also my dad. Like, he just gives us lectures. If we have like a small problem, we'll just bring everything else into it, or just like.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you very much. Guys, just to remind you that you are live on social media, so your friends will see that. If you don't speak confidently, they're going to pick on you on that. So you have to speak out nicely, yeah?
Who?
Say it, you want to speak? Oh, let's wish her a happy birthday. Today is a nice birthday. Say it.
Happy birthday.
Where is she?
Stand up, stand up.
Stand up. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Give it to him, give it to him. Stand up. Come on, his name is Ahmed.
Ahmed. All right, let's hear you, Ahmed. Your dad. Okay, that's good. Well done. Well done for taking that. Even the adults, if you also want to pick a safe person in your life, you can share.
Say something. Yeah, Billy Masha.
Really speak, we're listening.
Get up, get up.
My name is Eve. I like at home. I like to speak to my parents and my uncles and my close family members. But at school, like terrible. Like obvious. And at school, like you don't really talk to anyone. Say it's gonna go. It won't stay like between. It'll just go like straight to like your head of year, and then after there'll be like some big like talk amount of goals. And then yeah.
Social media. Social media.
Well done.
Terrible that he feels like that. That says a lot about the school and their mental well-being.
You have conversation with you.
Yes. Social media.
I like that.
Well done. Thank you very much. And thank you for that information.
Say something. No, say something. Don't do that. Your friends are watching. Your friends are watching.
I don't care.
No, I don't care. What happened? Easy.
Hello. Yes, any further contribution? Any further contribution?
Tell bubude muduwa. That's how play Tassam. Adia na ruwa ne kira ta fitko ba ruwa wai ba ruwa drinks kawai kawo da la zo nan ga ba ruwa
All right.
What's up? Go.
Hello. Hello. So I think we're coming to the tail end of the program, and I'm really pleased that some of you have been able to share your real life experiences with. Hello, hello. So I think we're coming to the tail end of it. As the pieces be shared around, I don't think we'll have your concentration at this point in time. So I will hand over the microphone to Hajj Swat to give something like a good vote of thanks, just to thank our guest speakers tonight, and then a few announcements. And we are pleased with the success of this particular program, and we are planning to have more of such, and then we have different topics to be covered. And we will encourage all of you, whatever topic is chosen, or if you have any suggestions to add to the next event, you are welcome to share with us. If you can't speak to me, you can still speak to Hajj Swat or your parents to channel it across to us, and then we'll make sure that it's factored into the subsequent events. So we want to make sure that we get everyone on board for continuity and for the benefit of the community. So there is another suggestion that next week we are planning to have a beach party for the community. So the flyers will come out again, and then we encourage each and every one of you to be part of it. Last year we had a successful one. This year we make it much more wider, and then you'll be able to take part of it. We get to the beach, there'll be swimming, music, dance, food, other play activities at the beach side. So we will send the flyers out to each and every one of you. And then also, I think with the consent of your parents, we want to just take a roll call of all of you here, just to put down your name. Those of you with telephone contacts, you are welcome to share with us. If you don't feel comfortable sharing your telephone contacts, that's fine. But we just want to have the name so that we know those who have attended, and then we try to encourage more attendance and those who couldn't make it today to also attend the subsequent events. So once again, I would say thank you very much. We really appreciate your time and presence this afternoon. So I will hand over to Hakia to complete the vote of thanks before we wrap up with the closing to us. Thank you.
Salam alaikum. Salam alaikum. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, this has been a successful symposium, and thank you all for coming. I'd like to say a big thank you to Yvonne. It was such a short notice. She didn't know it was this big. She didn't know it was going to turn out to be like this. But thank you so much. And thank you so much. Yeah, she only knew today. She only knew about it today. And I would like to say a big thank you to you. And next time when we have it to be again, please I'll take it and thank you all the parents for bringing your kids. We would like to take your numbers. Those who have got numbers, those who have yeah. This number.
So I think we need someone to give us a closing prayer. Any of the kids who wants to give us a closing prayer? To recite closing prayer. Closing prayer.
Abbas. No, 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 we're not taking it.
الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر الغاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس ربي زدني علما ربي زدني علما ربي زدني علما
آمين.
رب ارحمهما كما ربياني صغيرا
آمين.
رب ارحمهما كما ربياني صغيرا
آمين.
رب ارحمهما كما ربياني صغيرا
آمين.
اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد
آمين.
وعلى آل محمد
آمين.
كما صليت على إبراهيم
آمين.
وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد
الله أكبر.
So, continue to enjoy your pizza and socialize before we all disperse. So, we have officially come to the end of today's program. Once again, we say thank you very much to all of you. Yeah, thanks to all and sundry, thanks to your parents, and we hope to regroup in the near future. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Yes.